Thank you, Rabbi. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. July 6, 2011. I listened to a room full of drug addicts and alcoholics recite those words on July 6, 2011. 10 years ago, on July 6, 2011, somewhere in the East Village, I walked into a Narcotics Anonymous meeting for the first time. 10 years ago, I began my slow, steady walk out of the wilderness of alcohol and drug use. 10 years ago, I began my journey into recovery. As anyone in recovery can tell you, it is a permanent state. You never reach the destination because recovery is a never-ending journey, a journey you undertake one day at a time, with each day a new journey. When you reach the end, you start all over again. Our shul is named for the holiday celebrating just such a journey. Every year on Simchat Torah, we stand on the brink of the promised land, and right as we're about to enter, we start all over again. The journey begins anew. As we reach the end of the Torah and start again, there is nothing but Jack Greenberg's intonation of Chazak, Chazak, Benit Chazek, be strong, and may we be strengthened, to signal that we finished one book of the Torah and moved on to the next. Tomorrow morning, we'll chant the same words when we finish Numbers, known in Hebrew as Bamidbar, in the wilderness. Despite the seemingly triumphant tone of these words, Rabbi Avi Weiss points out that each book leaves endeavors unfinished. Indeed, he submits, the irony of Moses' life was that the greatest leader of our people never realized his greatest dream, to enter the land of Israel, only to be achieved, a mission only to be achieved by those he left behind. While it is the second of this week's double portion, Masei, Hebrew for journeys, the last portion of Bamidbar, Torah's penultimate book, that brings the Israelites to the edge of the promised land, they never enter. Those Moses left behind never achieve their mission. The Israelites never leave the wilderness. Some commentators have called Bamidbar the book of Israel's failings, and there are plenty of failings. So much so that the Israelites are condemned to roam the wilderness for 40 years, and Moses isn't allowed to enter the land of Israel. Why then, in spite of these failings, does the final Parsha of Bamidbar begin with a record of the places where these failings occurred? The Israelites' 42 journeys in the wilderness from Egypt, known in Hebrew as Mitzrayim, narrow place, up to the border of the promised land, Eretz Yisrael. Scholars through the ages provide various answers, but Jewish mysticism, the tradition that bequeathed us Kabbalat Shabbat, offers the explanation that resonates most powerfully for me. The Baal Shem Tov, known as the Besht, founder of Hasidism, said, as told by his grandson, that the 42 journeys of the Israelites in the desert are found in every person from the day of their birth, the exodus from Egypt, until their death, our whole lives a journey in the wilderness. Remarking on journeys, the Besht's grandson notes that someone thinks they go somewhere to attain something they desire, but actually, God is leading them there so that they may raise the holy sparks that have fallen and are sunk within the depths of the shells. What does it mean to raise holy sparks? Think of the Big Bang. We are all made of stardust that can trace itself to the Big Bang. According to Jewish mysticism, there are sparks of holiness hidden in that stardust that connect all of us and the entire world together. Our task as human beings is tikkun, repair, where we raise sparks of holiness concealed by shells that exist in the world and in ourselves, restoring the oneness that was present in the beginning. Could this be why, in verse after verse, the Torah chronicles the journeys where the stiff-necked Israelites murmured, rebelled, and transgressed? By concentrating on the journeys in the wilderness where the Israelites failed, flagged, and foundered, Parshat Matot-Masei seems to be suggesting that God led them there so that they could raise holy sparks from their shells. Throughout high school and into college, my future journey clear in my mind, I stuck to the straight and narrow. But after coming out in my junior year, nearly 20 years ago, I was obviously no longer sticking to the straight. And with that gone, I no longer felt the pressure I'd put on myself to stick to the narrow. The shells of my ambitions, my expectations, my imagined future journey had kept me in the closet, my Mitzrayim, my narrow place. Freed from my narrow place, little did I know I was walking into the wilderness. Saying I was gay was simple. Learning to be out was difficult. Drugs and alcohol smoothed the way. I believed they would make the adjustment to my new life easier, making me more comfortable in my own skin. For a time, it felt like they were working. And because I felt relieved from the pressure I'd put on myself by coming out, it didn't even matter that I was using them. They made me feel cool and look with disdain on the shells I thought I'd shed. My ambitions, my expectations, my imagined future journey. Eventually, drugs and alcohol revealed the same shells in another form, a form which showed me that using them in anything resembling moderation would be exceedingly difficult, if not impossible. Tonight, I mark 10 years of sobriety. While I drew tremendous strength from being in the rooms of AA, I still feel the same allergy to moderation when I come face to face with a tray of Larry Finkelstein's rugelach or a pint of salt and straw ice cream. The same shells, another form. In the wilderness, God gave the stiff-necked Israelites the opportunity to raise holy sparks from their shells, and the Israelites responded by creating a mishkan, quite literally raising up a place of holiness. On my wilderness journey, I discovered this mishkan, this place of holiness. This place speaks the language I learned in recovery, the language of gratitude, resilience, joy, language that inspires holy sparks I seek to raise from my shells. Now, I'm not saying that coming to Kabbalat Shabbat services at CBST is akin to an AA meeting, but this, sharing my experience, strength, and hope, is what AA calls a qualification. What I used to be like, what happened, and what I am like now. Although people can qualify at any time, it is customary to qualify on or around an anniversary or soberversary. Tomorrow we finish the book called Numbers, and there is a lot of counting in the book. Tribes, troops, offerings, more troops, more offerings, even booty. In recovery, there's also a lot of counting. Days, weeks, months, years. Like many people in recovery, I started counting days by going to 90 meetings in 90 days. Counting days of sobriety, total abstinence, isn't the path to recovery for everyone, but for me, the rigidity, accountability, and predictability helped sever my desire to drink or use drugs. Though I don't go to meetings anymore, I haven't picked up a drink or touched a drug in 10 years. That's 120 months. That's 522 weeks. That's 3,657 days. Tonight, I honor this counting, this journey, and I feel incredibly grateful that so many of those of you I love, particularly my parents, are honoring it with me. I don't subscribe to the deterministic idea that everything happens for a reason, but I do believe there is meaning in everything that happens. Meaning in my journey, especially in those parts where I have failed, flagged, and foundered. Meaning in seeking to raise holy sparks from my shells in the wilderness. Instead of suffering self-hatred at being a gay Jewish addict, I feel joy from channeling the purpose, passion, and focus that comes from living my full self as a gay Jew, 10 years sober, towards making a difference in the lives of other people. Serving others infuses my journey with meaning and lets me raise holy sparks from my shells. I still encounter my shells, just in other forms, on my journey in the wilderness. When tonight is over, I will criticize myself mercilessly for every thought omitted, every beat missed, every word flubbed, for my failure to seize the perfect moment, to write the perfect words, to express the perfect insights about all the ways my life has been so utterly imperfect. For my failure to fulfill the dreams, hopes, and expectations I had for sharing these words of Torah with you. Rabbi Avi Weiss observes that the lesson to be drawn from Moses' failure to enter the promised land is that no one leaves the world fulfilling all of their dreams, hopes, and expectations. In this way, he finds chazak, chazak, venit chazek, be strong, and may we be strengthened, reflected in Rabbi Tarfon's immortal words. It is not for any of us to complete the task, nor are we free to neglect it. Our journey in the wilderness marches on. Where are you on your journey? What shells do you encounter? How do you seek to raise holy sparks from your shells? My journey looks nothing like I imagined. Hey, as of this morning, I thought we'd be at 30th Street tonight. But without it, I wouldn't be here. And failure or not, my journey continues. Serving others, trying to be more kind, more compassionate, more forgiving to others and myself. Counting my blessings. Seeking to raise holy sparks from my shells. Recognizing that whatever goes wrong or right tonight, tomorrow is a new day, a new journey, a new place in the journey of my life. Summoning the strength to take my life one day at a time. Resilience. This is resilience. This is that prayer of resilience. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Shabbat Shalom.